role in the region and internationally. Assuming such a role was a result of the leverage acquired by its geographical location. Such a unique location gave Egypt a special position in the history and made it destined to the leadership. And to shed light on the role of Egypt and its leadership in history, we have with us in the studio Dr. Basam الشماع, the member of the Egyptian Historical Association. Hello, Mr. Basam.
Hello to you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Basam, has Egypt always been a leader in its region?
When you look at civilizations in the ancient times, you study civilizations which one of its features is being ambiguous. Egypt was not. Egypt as a civilization is a very clear civilization. It's very understandable. It's very beneficial to study its history, its science. This is because the character of the ancient Egyptian person was and still, and inshallah will be forever, the character that is always thinking to invent, not to follow. And that is why mainly and basically most of the sciences that was invented by the ancient Egyptians, they were the pioneers in. Mm-hmm. And since it became a very huge kingdom in the area and in the region, they started to export such sciences and such art. For example, if you head to Petra, for example, in Jordan, the most amazing Jordan, beautiful. When you go to Petra, what I got as a feeling when I went to Petra, because I wanted afterwards to write a book about Petra, and I did, thank God for that. You study something very similar to what happened in our country in Abu Simbel. Now, in Abu Simbel, you are carving a temple, not building. When you go to Al-Batra, you are carving a city, right? And also this business of the rose city, the city of rose, because of the color of the stone. You come back to Egypt and you find some of the stones which were used in building your buildings was also a rosy color. When you look at the treasury, which is the first thing that you see in Petra when you enter, for those who would like to study the facade of the building, you will notice Isis and you will notice sphinxes carved.
In Petra.
In Petra. And if you go to places like Iraq, and what civilization is Iraq, Ur, and all the beautiful buildings there, the hanging gardens of Babylon, all this business of history, Iraq is the most ancient civilization in the world. Ur is the most ancient, it's the cradle of civilizations. You notice there are still ideas that came from Egypt. Egypt was always the pivot, and I'm not exaggerating because I'm an Egyptian. Take a good example for that. King of the kings of ancient Egypt, Thutmose III. Jehotimes III, when he went to Asia in one of his campaigns, he achieved 17 military campaigns and they were all triumphant. This guy is not losing one battle. And under his control, Egypt as an empire reached to the vastest areas ever. When he saw a river in Asia, and this river was flowing naturally from north towards the south, he named that river the waters that goes against. Why? Because the river Nile flows from south to north. And even though we know that the river Nile is an exceptional case in this, and there is not many of the rivers around the world that does the same, he puts it as an example and compare it to the other, and he figured out that the other is the different, not him. And that gives you an idea how he was so proud, that the ancient Egyptian person, how he was so proud of his country. He named his country a beautiful name, Ta Meret. Ta is a hieroglyphic word which means a land. Merit, which is merit, your friend merit in the faculty or in the university or in your work, there is always merit or merit now, is a hieroglyphic word that means beloved. So he gives a name to his country, the beloved land or the beloved country. So, from the artistic and architecture point of view, you impressed those people and they started to take over some of the ideas. From medicine, we noticed messages that was studied and translated and interpreted into Arabic and in English. Studies were made about those messages, brought to the Egyptians and sent to them by the kings of Asia. Those messages are saying, please send me the doctor that you sent last time. So now the world is asking for Egyptian doctors to go there, to travel to the king of this kingdom in Asia and start to cure him. Now, this is a very important fact of history, because you're talking about kingdoms that played a very important role in the history of medicine as well. Iraq, Assyria, Phoenicia, all those amazing people, they played a very important role in the business of medicine. So for those high caliber people in medicine to ask you for help, that
means that you have a very unique position.
Exactly.
Mr. Bassam, were there any particular incidents in history where the Egyptian leadership was quite evident?
Oh, yes. And here I'll surprise you, I'll surprise the viewers, by the most amazing excavation that happened, and hold yourself, don't faint on me now, because I'm going to surprise you all by saying that a few years ago, an excavation took place in the Arab world of hieroglyphic texts carved in the desert. Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, they excavated in an oasis called Tayma. The Tayma oasis, and in the Tayma oasis is in Tabuk. And to those who don't know where is Tabuk, Tabuk is the closest to us. Tabuk is northwest of Saudi Arabia, of the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So cross the peninsula of Sinai, and Tabuk is on the other side. And that is why, through your pulpit here, I'm introducing an idea to Mr. Hisham Zazoura, our Minister of Tourism. Why don't you make a new trend of tourism between Egypt and Saudi?
Which we need right now, of course.
We need desperately now, right? What is this going to include? This is going to include Saudis and Egyptians and any other people who are interested. So visit Egypt, see the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Egyptian Museum, the Islamic, the Old Cairo, so on. Upper Egypt, Alexandria, Sinai, Oasis, and so on. Middle Egypt, amazing, El-Minya, Malawi, Abu Ras. We talked last week about Malawi and about El-Minya with its amazing monuments. Asyut, Sohag, Arab al-Madfuna, Abydos, Dandara, Qina, Nubia.
But sir, why we are not seeing actually a real tourist visit to these governorates like El-Minya, as you have mentioned, and Asyut? We did not see many tourists going to these
Number one,
sites.
you have to tell the people about them. You are doing your job here. You are bringing me every week to tell people about history and about monuments and about going to these places. But on the other hand, you're not giving them, number one, any information. Two, you're not facilitating the transportations. And that's why it's a good chance for us to introduce the idea of Qitar al-Athar, the train of monuments. This is my idea that I'm introducing to the ministry, which is now, if they are watching us, and it is a train. We're going to go to the Minister of Transportation, give us 4 or 5 trains. It will be refurbished. It will be re-air conditioned and everything. And it will be painted from outside with hieroglyphs and paintings of monuments, good paintings of monuments, right? Correct. And let's put under correct 6 million lines. This is going to be with a card that you will buy with your picture on it, and it's like your ID. And it will start from the northern territories, from Alexandria, Salou, Mars Matruh, and places like that, all the way until Nubia and Abu Simbel by bus. Because you are going to reach Aswan and then you can take the bus. All this train is going to stop by all those areas. And in this card that you've got your picture on, get all the entrance fees included.
And this could be done for tourists as well.
And that will be done for tourists, of course. For the English-talking English guides, for the German-talking German guides, for the Egyptians, and so on and so forth. And by this, you're introducing history. But you cannot go on all the time blaming the Egyptians that they are not going to their monuments, and you're not telling them about it. You are putting some traveling business for some, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 pounds. Of course, it's not going to go. You have to put good prices for it. You have to, number two, you have to make the tickets for free. Tickets of entering monuments for the Egyptians for free. You're going to tell me, so how is this going to happen? Well, first of all,
you have to attract the Egyptian citizen to go and visit.
And go and visit.
And know about this culture and civilization.
And this will pay. This will pay back to you. This will pay back to you loyalty, faithfulness to the land and to the country, understanding your culture. You're not going to have somebody waking up in the morning saying, I'm going to destroy the Sphinx. And you'll understand more about this culture, about civilization. Plus, you're going to make, as we say in our colloquial way, we are going to make a feat on these areas. People are going in and out. People around the world will see you, Egyptian, going in and out, appreciating your civilization.
And they will know that it's safe, and they can come and enjoy.
And talking of safe, by the way, you reminded me now, please, remove from the screens of Egypt fighting terrorism. I'm a tour guide for 25 years now, English language, number 1,000 in the association of tour guides. Please, we know the people, we dealt with Americans and Australians and British and so on. We know the people. Please remove Egypt fighting terrorism, because Egypt fighting terrorism, fighting, ING, now. So how are you telling them come, and you are telling them you are fighting terrorism, and there is terrorism in the country? We do have problems, of course we do have problems. We are dealing with it, and we need to deal with it even more. It's going to take its time, it's going to go. So remove that from the screens of Egypt, because this is a very bad advertisement for us. But going back to this business of your influence, in Saudi Arabia they found the cartouche of Ramesses III in Saudi Arabia. So let's make a tour called Ramses in Saudi. Now that will be attractive. So for this American brother or British sister who's going to read in the brochure or a documentary or something about Saudi, Ramses, the king of Egypt in Saudi, what's this? This contradiction in the terms and the names is going to attract the tourists, whether they were Arabs or non-Arabs. And I'm going to show them the Taima oasis, which is beautiful, in the middle of the desert and everything. So this is for the foreigners' desert, mystery and everything. They are going to read the hieroglyphs. We're going to read for them the hieroglyphs. We're going to increase tourism in Saudi, and we're going to increase tourism in Egypt.
Okay, so talking about Saudi Arabia, we've seen the great role played by, or that is being played by Saudi Arabia and a number of Gulf countries, so supportive to Egypt in its current conflict or crisis. If we talk about the role or the leadership of Egypt in ancient time, has Egypt also been so revered by its neighbors? Because we've seen the United Arab Emirates saying we cannot allow Egypt to fall, because if it falls, the rest of the region will fall. Has Egypt always been that respected by its neighbors and its partners in the region?
If you are important, you are loved, and you are conspired against. That is fact of life, fact of law, law of life. If you are nobody, nobody's going to care. If you are everything or a big thing, then everybody is going to try to. There will be love, there will be conspiracy. And finally, I would like to say that Egypt, not me, not the Egyptians, it's the foreigners before the Egyptians says that it plays the most important role. We are still playing the most important role. The last warning that I would like to say, be careful, you Egyptian, because it's not about the conspiracy theory, because there is a conspiracy for life, since days of the ancient Egyptians. Because you are important, strategic important, historically important, and there is always somebody wandering around. For you, you Egyptian, to acknowledge the true enemy and to deal with it.
Mr. Bessam الشماع, member of the Egyptian Historical Society. It's always a pleasure having you with us here on The Breakfast Show.
Thank you, Mr. Bessam.
Thank you.
And this brings us to the end of this morning's edition of Breakfast Show.